I man am Regal, a German am I, never odd or even, if I had a hi-fi. Madam, I'm Adam, too hot to hoot, no lemons, no melon, too bad I hit a boot. Lisa Bonet ate no basil, Warsaw was raw, was it a car or a cat I saw? Welcome to Songs of Experience, a Bob Dylan podcast, where we usually explore the man and the music one song at a time. I'm your host, Henry Bernstein. I'm confused, I'm scared, I'm feeling extra weird, but I'm here with my friend and colleague and riding buddy to the Outlaw Music Festival, fellow Hyde Parker from the south side of Chicago, now Vermont, Ray Padgett, here to talk about Bob. No, not Dylan, but the 2003 Song of Palindromes by the one and only Weird Al Yankovic. Ray, what are we doing here? What's going on? Why are you here on episode 27 talking about Weird Al Yankovic?
I'm thrilled to be here for what will certainly be your least listened to episode ever.
It might be my last episode ever.
It might. This might tank your ratings on iTunes will go so low they'll just kick you right off the
Yeah.
platform.
The first
Isn't
person
it
ever to be kicked off of free podcasts.
isn't it kind of like your job as the host of a Bob Dylan songs podcast? Like isn't like the baseline that you're supposed to make sure your guests talk about a Bob Dylan song?
I think I've already thrown it out the window. So
Like I'm just saying this is like kind of on you. People when they get mad at me, like a little bit of this I think is your fault.
a
You
little
should
bit.
have
I said
stopped
yes.
this. Yeah, most of it's your blame him. It
Blame
was
me.
his job to make this not happen. We're on a Bob Dylan songs podcast talking about a not Bob Dylan song.
There we go. All right. Well, this all came about. We were on a car ride, like I said, in September of 2023. 20, right? Was it
It was the
2023?
first Outlaw.
So
So
2024,
24.
2024,
Yeah.
the last Outlaw, a show of the Outlaw tour to Tinley Park, from Hyde Park to Tinley Park. I went to your ancestral home to pick you up, which was a great delight. And I was like, all right, Ray, come on. When are you going to come on the podcast? I'm like, I'm not a lyric guy,
It was
but
pretty new then, right?
I guess, yeah, yeah, it was only a few months old, yeah. And
Yeah,
you're like,
okay.
I'm not a lyric guy. I like the music. I'm like, okay, well, I'm a music guy too, and like, I have an idea. So, all right, lay it on me, Ray. What's this all about?
S- So I said, as I recall, two things. One, that I wanted to do not a song by Bob Dylan, but a song inspired by Bob Dylan by Weird Al called Bob, which we'll get to. And two, equally importantly, it had to be episode 27, which at that point, as you immediately pointed out on a monthly podcast schedule, was a long way in the future, the better part of 2 years. And I said, I'll wait. And we did. It's been
I
almost
can't
two
believe it.
years, and it's episode 27. And I should say, for people who don't know what people are saying, why episode 27? 27 is the Weird Al number. It is the symbolic. I mean, I know you're a Swiftie. Obviously, she goes really deep with numerology.
Yes.
Al does not go that deep with numerology. There's really just one number, but it's a number that he has carried throughout his entire career, which is 27. It is known as the Weird Al number, basically by accident. At a certain point, fans early on were like, "Why do you keep talking about 27 in all of your songs?" And his answer was, "I do." But then once he knew that was a pattern, he started doing it on purpose. So there's these websites you can go to that have all the 27 references, not just in his songs, but in his album artwork and in the TV shows. I mean, on and on and on. 27, that's the Weird Al number. So we had to do this for episode 27. Also, I was hoping by that point you'd be established enough that it wouldn't totally tank your show.
Yeah, we can get a little weird at this point. If you're already riding with me, you're in for it all. So, yeah, thank you for mentioning numerology. Also, big in Judaism too. So I'm into that. Yeah, obviously number 13 if you're a Taylor Swift fan. I don't know of much numerology in Dylan stuff. I don't think that's ever come up. Have you ever come across any kind of like icon like Bob Dylan numbers?
Well, he's big into three. Like, doesn't he have that section in Chronicles where he's talking about like the guitar technique,
Oh yeah, that he
which sort
learned
of
from yeah.
which sort of seems like he's just making it up as he
Yeah,
goes,
it definitely
but he
seems
goes
like
on and on about three. Like
yeah.
I remember what's his name? Eolf, the guy who does Dylan
Hmm.
chords, like wrote a
Hmm.
whole article where like and he this guy like knows a ton about, Dylan tabs. He like
Hmm.
actually tried to take this seriously and like as I recall, the deeper he got into it, like the less sense it made.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right. Well, Ray, before we lose everyone, why don't you first tell us your
Before.
Tell us your Bob Dylan origin story, and then we'll get into Weird Al and B.O.B. of it all.
Okay, so my Bob Dylan origin story. I, as you say, grew up in Chicago, in Hyde Park. My dad had been a Dylan fan in the 60s, but I mean, I don't even know if he made it to John Wesley Harding. He bailed pretty quickly. But he had a bunch of old records that he kept around. One of which was a Dylan record, Highway 61. This is so in like high school, which is we're about the same age, so it was about 2003-ish. I played it and I was sort of intrigued. I wasn't like head over heels. I was like, that's okay. For some reason, I still can't quite put my finger on. I saw in the newspaper that like Bob was playing at the Aragon Ballroom, downtown. This was as part of a tour in September 2004. He did very strange tour because he did the same thing in a number of cities in Chicago and in other cities. He played, I think, 5 nights in Chicago. Is that right, Henry? Do you remember? Like
Not
four
in
or five.
'04, in '05, '05 he played
In
five
'05,
nights.
5 night, but he played in '05 it was 5 nights, but it was all 5 nights in the same venue, which makes
Right.
more sense.
Right. Oh,
What
and
was weird about
yes,
'04, he
he
played
bounced
four
around.
or 5 nights
He
in
did the
each
Vic,
night in
the
a different venue.
Aragon. Yeah.
Riviera and Park West, I think it was
Yeah.
four,
Yeah.
which is like insane because you have to move all that stuff every single night. And I mapped it out once. One of them is literally around the corner from the other ones. They're dismantling an entire
Yeah.
stage, trucking all the amps, all the gear, everything around the corner to another venue for no
The Riv
reason.
and the Aragon are basically across the street from each other.
Maybe it was
Yeah.
those two. I don't
Yeah, it's
remember.
those
Yeah,
two.
okay.
Yeah.
And again, he did this wasn't like a weird Chicago fluke. This was like a tour. He did this in every city. Just bananas. Anyway, I saw the Aragon, which I think was maybe the biggest one, was
Yes.
I saw how new tickets were on sale. I got my dad to buy us tickets. I sort of coerced him. I went to the show. I only recognized one song, and even that one only halfway through. That was like a Rolling Stone. I was like, oh,
At the end of the show.
I vaguely, yeah, at the end of the show. And again, I like third chorus, maybe. I was like, oh yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar. But I was like intrigued. So I'd seen my friend's mom had taken me to see Simon and Garfunkel, me and him
In
the year
2003,
before.
United Center.
Were you at that?
I was right. Another
Oh,
show
there
we were
you
both
go.
at.
Jim Keltner on drums, by
That's
the way.
right. That's right.
Um,
Yes. Man, he
I
gets
obviously
around.
I did not know that as a 14-year-old. I was not yet in the Keltner community.
Right.
But yeah, so I expected the Dylan show. That was like my only experience seeing, a boomer like
Mhm.
60s rock act. And it was, as you know, people put their Lila lied along to the boxer and lighters in the air for Sound of Silence. So I was expecting that Dylan to do that. As anyone who is 27 episodes into this podcast knows, that is not what the Dylan show was like. There were no lighters in the air for him to do Tambourine Man. But I was like, yeah, I was just intrigued. I downloaded, and this is going to date it, but I downloaded all of the songs, not the recordings. I didn't know that was a thing, but like the album versions of the set list, which was printed in the Chicago Tribune. Shout out Greg Cott. Um, I downloaded each of the album versions off of Napster. This was the Napster era. Each one took like, 45 minutes to download and made my parents mad at me.
Yeah, I won't tell
But
the
I made a play
Metallica.
I made a playlist in Winamp and I just listened to that playlist over and over again of my set list, and that's what got me deep.
That's great. And then a few months later, we also were in West Lafayette together at Bob Dylan and didn't
Yeah.
know.
The
Didn't
diff
know.
the difference is that you were on time to
I was
that
on
show
time.
because you
Yeah.
you
You didn't,
you
I knew
knew
about
that
the
the
time
time
change. Yeah.
changed. Me and my dad were having a casual dinner near the venue, not realizing that West Lafayette's an hour later than Chicago, even though it's only a short drive. You
Uh,
crossed the line.
I was
So
in
we missed the
Bloomington. It
first
wasn't
three
an issue.
songs.
Yeah. That's great. All right. So you said you were intrigued. So I think I'm sensing a theme. Maybe you were sort of interested in like you were picking up on kind of the weirdness of Bob Dylan, maybe?
Very much so. I mean, he was already playing piano at that point. It was
Mhm.
fairly new to that, though
Right.
again, I wouldn't have known that at the time. I'm sure I would have expected him to play guitar. He was piano at that point was set way to the side.
Hmm.
I mean, now it's far back. This was sort of a twist on that. It was near the front of the stage, but like far stage right, I
Yeah,
guess it would
stage
be.
right. Yeah.
So like, visually he looks like the least important member of this band. If you're just looking at a photo, you're like, who's the star? Well, it's not obviously not
Larry
that guy. It could
Campbell.
be any of the other. Honestly, it was Freddie
Freddie
Coelho
Coelho, right?
because
Yeah.
he was the
That
one
brief
thing
period of time.
one of the few things I remember from that show is like Freddie, unlike most of his band members, would like step. He would like walk center stage to take all of his weird solos.
Mhm.
So I was like, this guy, I don't even know if I like him, but it's interesting. Now, of course, I'm a huge Freddie head, but
Right.
yeah, yeah, I was. But anyway, to your point, I was definitely again, I didn't know the lingo or even to know that these are different arrangements or anything. I couldn't have told you that, but like clearly something was strange and unusual and very different than what I expected,
Hmm.
which I wanted to find out more.
So Bob was recorded March 26, 2002, and released May 20th, 2003 on Weird Al's 11th studio album, Poodle Hat. That's all I got. Those are the stats, Ray. So unless you have any other statistics about Weird Al Yankovic, Poodle Hat, this song, that now would be the time.
I got one. I was doing a little research. I mean, I know the song well, but I was looking
Right.
up more about it. I discovered that so Daniel Radcliffe, who played Weird Al in the biopic Weird a few years ago,
Underrated movie.
great movie.
Yeah.
Bob is Daniel Radcliffe's favorite Weird Al song.
Really?
So that is the stat.
Okay.
I learned apparently Daniel Radcliffe on the set was bugging Weird Al to tell him how he came up with all of the lyrics, we'll say, since we haven't said what the lyrics are yet. Well, you said what you read some of them, which by the way sounded truly ridiculous hearing those lyrics just recited in a straight face as
It's
if it's visions of Johanna
I
or something.
I know.
Absolutely hilarious.
Well, Weird Al, he so when he plays this live, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. He gives a little spiel at the beginning about it, and he's talked about this on Howard Stern before, basically saying that like he had this idea of like a palindrome song, and he was putting it together, and he's like, "Oh, that sounds like Bob Dylan." And here, let's listen to Weird Al talking about it directly. Talking
And
about
I thought, wouldn't it be kind of cool to write a song entirely comprised of palindromes? So I started to work on that. I started putting all these palindromes together and making them rhyme. And when I read a rough draft of it, I was thinking, this sounds like it should be really profound, but it isn't. This is a Bob Dylan song. And when I realized that the name Bob is a palindrome, I was like, okay, we're done here.
he's kind of picking up on that idea that like it was sort of accidental, it seems like. How did you get into Weird Al? Like this is like a complete departure from Bob Dylan.
Yeah, forget my Bob Dylan origin story. We need to talk about my
Yeah.
Weird Al origin story. Luckily, it's shorter. And earlier, I, like many people, got into Weird Al probably around 13. My
Mhm.
friend who's visiting me at the time brought over his latest CD, Running with Scissors. Great album,
I remember very well.
1999.
Yes.
I got very into that album. And then again, there's a theme here, me making my dad take me to concerts. I made my dad take me to a Weird Al concert. And this was actually before the Bob Dylan concert. This is like 6 months earlier. It was summer 2003. We were in Maine that summer, and the Weird Al played at the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. Um, the new album was Poodle Hat. So Bob, I I'm sure I mean I got the jokes. I'm sure I knew who Bob Dylan was, but I like wasn't into Bob at that point. So Bob by Weird Al would have been a fairly early exposure to Bob Dylan.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he did not play it at that show. I looked up the set list.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I got into him, again, that's probably middle school for Weird Al, and then by the time I saw him live, high school, and then very shortly after, Bob Dylan, and then eventually I connected the two, Bob the song and Bob the person.
Did you continue to be a Weird Al fan all throughout your life since middle school? Did you get, I know as an adult you've seen him many times, we've talked about him a little bit, but like, did you follow his career over throughout the years? Did you have a period when you like weren't into Weird Al? Because his career has just been, completely steady the whole way through.
Yep. I was there the whole time. Even the times before being a nerd was cool.
Right.
Weird Al has been at this point, it seems like he's been sort of culturally beloved for many years. But there was a time when it was like a little embarrassing
Oh
to
yeah, for
like Weird
sure.
Al, in say my 20s or something, before things swung back around to nerd culture.
Was
But
it
yeah, I
something
was
you sort of
there
kept to yourself a little
every
bit?
probably, yeah. If I was like, I remember in college, I would drive to shows, Bob Dylan and Weird Al. They were, the two shows I would drive to some distances to. And I don't remember announcing too loudly the times I was going to a Weird Al show. Strangely, I did tell everyone about Bob Dylan, which was also not cool in, in college, but I was less embarrassed about that one for some
Right.
reason.
Right. So, I mean, I remember, yeah, for me, I mean, Weird Al was very formative as a adolescent, middle school for sure. I mean, I remember listening to Dr. Demento. I think it was on 105.9 WCKG here in Chicago, but I don't remember exactly. But I had one friend in middle school, shout out to my friend Donnie, who also was like into weird radio and Dr. Demento, and I remember, watching the music videos. And then I remember even, in high school, he shaved his mustache, and that was like very shocking. And then did the Star Wars saga song. And I sort of remember this all throughout the years. And I never like stopped liking him or anything, but I definitely like as I got older, I just kind of lost track of Weird Al, and it wasn't till the movie came out, and over the years, I'd when he'd come on Howard Stern, definitely listen to that and enjoy that. But like when the movie came out, I was like, oh my God, I loved Weird Al Yankovic, and I was like so delighted. I actually saw it like multiple times. It's so
Yeah.
good. It's so weird, even for Weird Al. It's so weird because it's kind of what you want from a biopic. It's not a straight biopic. It's a complete farce. So
Yeah,
did you? Yeah,
it starts out seeming like it's going to be, fairly straight ahead. He's doing My Bologna and Dr. Demento and blah blah
yeah.
blah. And you're like, okay. And then by the end, isn't he like runs off with Madonna and Pablo Escobar
He
is
like kills a
shooting him? I
bunch
haven't
of
seen it in a
people with a
while.
machine gun.
Yeah.
Like, it has like
And
a
somehow they
full
get Harry Potter to play him. It's
right.
great.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. All right, so it's a song of palindromes and a great. We heard Weird Al talk about how he came up with that. Had you heard any of these palindromes when you heard this song? Like Madame, I'm Adam, that's a classic one, but like these are all original Weird Al palindromes. Like Lisa Bonet ain't no basil. This isn't something that, is in the palindrome. Like when you're in school learning about palindromes, you're not learning these, right?
I don't know if he made up every single one of them. I feel like Race Fast, Safe Car is
Hmm.
like one you hear every now and then.
Right, right.
But yeah, I'd never heard Go Hang a Salami, I'm a Lasagna Hog. I mean, that seems. I mean, Weird Al has a whole song about lasagna, so that's like right in
Right,
his
right,
wheelhouse.
right, 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 right. Yeah, I mean, he's like, rise to vote, sir. Do geese see God? Do nine men interpret? Nine men I nod. Rats live on no evil star. Won't lovers revolt now? Race fast, safe car. Pa's a sap. Ma is as selfless as I am. May a moody baby do my yam. He's right that it does kind of have a 60s Bob Dylan cadence to it, sort of that merger of rock and roll with that, Thin Wild Mercury, kind of sound plus the kind of out there lyrics, it
Yeah, I mean, it's funny to me. I would have thought before learning differently that this was written as a Bob Dylan style parody. Style
right. You
parody
mean
for anyone.
intentionally.
Yeah, yeah, because like half the joke is like you comparing it to Dylan at his most like Kate Blanchett out there, drugged out 60s surreal, none of the lines make literal sense, right? I mean, that's the sort of to the extent the song has a joke, there's no like real punchlines in it,
Right.
but that's the joke is that it
Right.
is that these nonsense lines that mean nothing like kind of sound like lines that Bob Dylan might have used on like a blonde on blonde outtake or something, right? I mean, half these lines like could have been in a complete unknown in some of those like Andy Warhol scenes. So the fact that he wrote this whole song having not having Bob Dylan in his mind at all to sort of pastiche, I find fairly amazing. Because I can't imagine how else you would do these lyrics.
Has he done, other than the straight parodies, has he done songs in the style of other artists?
Yes, this is sort of a classic thing for him. It's called style parodies or pastiches. And it's basically when he doesn't, the parodies everyone knows, right? He's taking usually some current hit song and changing the words. The style parodies are not any one specific song. We'll get into it. There are certain Bob Dylan songs that sound fairly similar, but there's no one-to-one Bob Dylan song that you could sing these words to and it would fit. The music's original. But he will create his own music that is very much in keeping with that. One of the more famous ones is like Dare to Be Stupid,
Oh yeah,
which was an early song that's a Devo style parody. There's
right.
not any one Devo song that directly ties to it, but it sounds like Devo or Dog Eat Dog is one of my favorites. That's a Talking Head style parody. He even wears the
Right.
big suit when he does in concert. But again, it's not Road to Nowhere or Once in a Lifetime. It's not any specific Talking Head song. So we get to Bob. Bob is very clearly a style parody of this mid 60s Dylan, the sort of electric trio. And it sounds a lot like Subterranean. It sounds a lot like Tombstone Blues. The beginning is like directly lifted from 115th Dream.
Right.
But it's original music, which to me, I always find in some ways it's even more impressive than the
Yeah.
parodies. Because not
Yeah.
only are you parodying like the lyrics, but you're like creating original music, but it has to sound like a song this artist would have done. Like a Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo said that like he thinks one of the best Devo songs is Dare to Be Stupid, a
Is that
song that
right?
he didn't write the lyrics or music to. But
That's
because
great.
Al so perfectly captured what makes Devo Devo.
Right. I mean, I mean, it's even in the Wikipedia article about this song that it's not a one-to-one with Subterranean Homesick Blues. In fact, it's basically like you said, Tombstone Blues. That's kind of the style of the song. It's if you kind of close your eyes, that's what you're
Yeah,
going to
it's
hear.
closer to Tombstone. People
Right.
associate it with Subterranean
Right.
because of the music video, which I'm
Right.
sure we'll get to in a bit. But
Right.
but yeah, musically, I mean, well, in the fast lyrics, like I say, it's sort of all of them. It's all of this very specific mode of Dylan in 65, 66, but an original composition very much in that spirit.
So we've heard great stories from Weird Al over the years. I remember his Behind the Music, which was like the most uncontroversial Behind the Music of all time. I don't know if you remember that from the late
Yeah,
90s.
I remember.
And when he's been on Howard and other great interviews, and he's told these great stories. Like for example, cool. Michael Jackson was sort of thrilled with him because he had a hit all over. His songs became hits all over again, and every time Weird Al songs get played, these guys get paid. And so, for
Hmm.
the most part, artists. He told some story that he bumped into someone at Howard Stern's studio, and the guy asked him in the hallway, like, "When are you gonna write a parody song of one of my songs?" I don't remember who it was. But then there are great stories like with Coolio, where he claimed like I never gave him permission for Amish in Paradise, and here, Weird Al is basically like that's like the only controversial part in the by the music. He's like, I called his office, they gave me permission. I don't know what to
Yeah.
say. And then, of course, Eminem didn't let him do a video that was parodying him, which is what led to, I think, the Bob video. Anyway, that is all to say, have you ever heard of any kind of conversation, interaction, reference to and from between Bob Dylan and Weird Al or Bob Dylan's organization or anything like that?
Nope.
Oh.
Wish I had a better answer than that, but nope. I was thinking before we got on, like trying to game out the odds that Bob Dylan has ever heard this song,
Oh
right?
my
Because I could see it going
goodness.
either way. On the one hand, Weird Al is like he's very famous. Uh, a song about you would assume that most artists who are parodied or prestiged would hear the songs, right? Whether they like them or not, whether they care or not, they'd at least be aware of it. Obviously, Bob Dylan, however, is less plugged in some ways than anyone, so maybe
But he
he
also
hasn't.
kind of hears everything,
But
like
he also hears everything.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
so
could
would he
go
hear
either
that?
way.
It could go either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I would guess he probably has, but then again, but on the flip side, like, do you want to be like the assistant or something who brings this to him? And like, hopefully he likes it, but what if he's in a pissy mood that day? And he's like, why am I watching this shit?
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I mean, if you know Weird Al, you know he does this stuff lovingly. It's in no
right.
way intended to make fun of Bob Dylan or of anyone else he does. However, if Bob Dylan's feeling uncharitable or he doesn't know anything about Weird Al, he could look at that video and be like, "Oh, is he like making fun of me?"
Right. So I guess the video would be the only like example of where Bob might come across because it's a direct like parody of the Bob's most iconic video, the first music video ever, basically. So
Hmm.
I wonder if like Jeff Rosen took a look at it at first and was like, all right, we're good, or I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting. No one's ever asked Weird Al. This song actually wasn't a single. It was actually, I think, because Weird Al loved the song and the idea and Bob Dylan that he made a video for it. It wasn't one of the main singles on the album, I don't believe.
No, I mean Weird Al's singles are pretty much always the parodies. That's why Weird
Right.
Al is is known for the parodies.
Right,
Most people
right,
don't even know he does anything but parodies, even though half of his albums are non-parodies,
right,
either style parodies like this or things that are just fully original songs.
right,
But yeah, I mean the single was the Lose Yourself. Lose Yourself was a big Eminem hit, so he
right.
does the song, and that's the big single, and that's usually the case. Yeah, I mean I think the style parodies often are ones where Weird Al is just a fan, you
Yeah,
know. Like the parodies, he's usually doing, a current song, whether or
right.
not he personally is a super fan of whoever, Lady Gaga or Taylor Swift or Miley Cyrus or whoever the current song he's doing, he's trying to be in the culture. But style parodies, he does Talking Heads, like 10 years after they were popular. He's doing Bob Dylan, and there's
30
nothing.
years, 40 years after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Subterranean Homesick Blues is not like a super new cool thing to be referencing in
Right.
2003 for no
Right.
reason, but he wanted to do it.
Right.
So I think he has a lot more leeway. And if you're like a super nerd like me, in a lot of cases, your favorite Weird Al songs are like the originals or the style parodies rather than the direct parodies.
Ah, Satan sees Natasha, no devil lived on. Lonely Tylenol, not a banana baton. No X in Nixon, oh stone be not so. Oh Geronimo, no minor ego. Naomi I moan. A Toyota's a Toyota. A dog, a panic in a pagoda. This is fantastic. I mean, this, like you said, this is almost more impressive than a parody song because, like, anyone who's ever given a speech at a wedding or a bar mitzvah has written a parody song at their in their life. Like we've all had a moment of writing a parody song for a friend or a loved one. It's not that hard to do. I mean, there are good ones, there are bad ones, but this is like he's got to sit with a dictionary or something. I mean, be aware of what words go together. Like I wonder what Ray, do you know anything about like his process for this song, for actually writing these?
I don't know this song specifically, but I know in general he's like super anal. He is, I mean, a dictionary is probably not an exaggeration. Like he
Mhm.
just slaves over every single line, the meter, the accent's got to be in the right place. Like one of the funny things about Weird Al is like he's incredibly in real life not weird.
Yeah,
Like he's a super hard worker who just takes this soup really, really seriously, and as opposed to like a bolt of lightning inspiration, like he just works it, works it, works it,
right.
and so you get this where like again a song of palindromes, like okay, cute idea, but like that could be something you do for a lark and then it's not actually good. No one wants to listen to it. Whereas this is a song we're talking about 20 years later and he still plays it live 20 years later sometimes. Like people really, really, really like it
Hmm.
because it actually works as a song, which, gets us into the lyrics don't have anything to do with Bob Dylan except for the sort of vague, maybe they're spoofing the 60s thing. But the music, he works equally hard on. And like the fact that he came up with a track that's like musically dead on to like the first half of Bring It Back Home or like Highway 61, an original song, but his musicians and what he wrote is like it's unreal
Mhm.
how perfect that music is for capturing that exact period of Dylan.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Now, as far as I know, there is no weirdalserve.com, but according to Setlist FM, Weird Al has performed Bob 162 times. So, Ray, I guess we know you have, but how many times have you seen Weird Al live? And have you ever caught a Bob? He hasn't played it since 2023, so it wouldn't have been on the. I didn't catch it on the last tour when I got rained out at Ravinia.
Yeah, you didn't catch much of anything,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Um,
I think during the Pokemon, I think we stayed through smells like Nirvana, and then we're like we're soaked, we gotta go.
yeah, that sounded rough. I knew a few people who were at that show. It sounded bad. I've seen Weird Al 15 times.
Wow.
16th is coming up next month when he comes to Burlington. And in fact,
And
I
this is
believe
a
this comes
greatest
off.
hits tour, he said on Howard.
Yeah, this is back to the normal one. So no Bob,
Right,
sadly. It's a greatest hit in
right,
my heart, but it's not really
right.
a greatest hits. However, I don't know if you can see this, but this is the
A
set
set
list
list.
of the when he the first Vanity tour, which
Oh,
was
the
the
third
special
song. Who's Bob?
third song, Bob. Fun Zone Instrumental CNR, his White Stripes pastiche about Charles Nelson Riley. And then Bob. It was the first time he had played it in over a decade. This was opening night
Oh
of
my
the very
God.
first Vanity tour. All sorts of these songs he'd like never played live before. Um,
Did you do the like go
yes.
up to the stage and ask for the set list thing, or did you go to
No,
the?
this was no, it's framed and all because I was on the press list and
Oh,
they like what that meant was there was like a VIP thing that I had not signed up or paid for, but basically they just put me in the VIP thing, and all the VIPs got this set list.
That's
A lot
so
of people got it
cool.
signed, but I brought I my first book was out where I'd interviewed him, so I brought my book and I had him sign that instead.
Oh,
So this one's not signed. So yeah, so I saw him do it on the Vanity Tour twice. Once that opening night in Poughkeepsie, and then a second time about a month later at the Apollo Theater
wow, at the Apollo.
in
Wow.
New
Now
York.
he doesn't, from what I could tell from the YouTube videos I saw on my, I can't believe I'm saying this sentence, rabbit hole I went down of looking for Weird Al performances of
I
Bob.
can't believe you don't say that sentence more often.
I do about Bob Dylan, but he and I
It
probably
can be
will more
both.
now. Yeah,
Trust me.
it probably will be more now. It doesn't look like he does a full costume change for this one. He just kind of sits down and has a harmonica and lets the band do a thing, or does he dress up and have the
I don't
signs?
think I don't think he's ever done a costume change. I mean, the Vanity Tour or the two I saw, there were no costume changes, period. Like that was sort of the angle.
Oh,
It was no
oh.
parodies. So it was like none of the big songs. It was all originals, and it was just presented more like a typical rock show. No
Hmm.
videos, no costume changes.
Hmm.
But he has done it on like, quote unquote real tours, like the normal tours. But still, I've never seen a video or anything where he dressed up as Weird Al. Sorry, yes, as Bob. He does dress up as Weird Al. The signs are very hard. I once years ago, maybe in college or something, I don't remember what it was, but I tried to do something, film my own thing with the
Hmm.
signs. And like, if you ever try to do those signs yourself, it's like freaking impossible.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
pull too many off, you drop them, you can't hold them because they're too big. So I mean, I gotta think it'd be impossible to do that live for him or anyone else.
Right.
Flip those signs.
Right. So in the video, you even have his two band members, the drummer and who's the other band member who's
His manager,
his
longtime manager,
his
Jim.
manager. They're in the background as Bobby Newirth and Allen Ginsberg, and whoever's Allen Ginsberg actually does that little funny walk, around as to go off screen, where it kind of looks like
Yep.
it's sped up a little bit, you know. So
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Weird Al, he's so meticulous
like
about this
he
stuff. Even
knows
for
this
this, which
video.
is an album track, it's not going to be a hit. It's not a big, there's no big promotional push, but like if he's going to parody the video, he parodies it precisely. It's sort of amazing. Even these background characters that most people wouldn't notice or care about because you're looking at Weird Al.
Right. Right. And even by 2003, I mean, videos weren't what they were at the height of his iconic videos, right? Like,
Yeah.
Fat or Amish Paradise, that kind of thing. Even by 2003, who knows, MTV was barely showing videos. So this maybe was kind of an internet thing. Yeah, what do you know much about the making of the video or
I know it was in LA, which is funny because I wondered if it was in the same alley. And then, I mean, when you look, because Bob filmed his in London, when
right.
you look, like it's obviously different, but he captures the sort of spirit of it so well that if you
Yes.
just watch the Weird Al video in isolation, I was like, I wonder if this is the same place. But yeah, it was apparently, I just read before this, Al TV. He used to get these like specials on MTV where he would like take
Yes.
over in quotes
Oh
MTV. I
yeah.
never had cable growing up, so I never actually saw any of these, but I know they were like a thing.
I
And so
didn't
that's what this
either.
is
I didn't
made
have cable
for.
either. It must have been a Hyde Park thing. But I remember at a
Yeah.
friend's house, my friend had taped it for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
yeah, so I never saw them, but apparently this was made for that. So it like I don't even know if it was ever even sent to like MTV or whatever. Right now it lives on, it's on YouTube, so it might as well be
right.
any other music video. But I gather at the time it wasn't like a quote unquote real music video. It was just like something for his TV show.
There was
So
something funny where for some reason the video wasn't allowed on like YouTube internationally. It wasn't available on YouTube outside the US until 2024, and then they
oh, huh.
remastered an HD version. Who knows why? I also saw a note that Weird Al also parodies Bob Dylan in the movie UHF. Now, I assume you've seen UHF, and that's probably a beloved movie to you.
Yeah, UHF filmed in Tulsa, by the way.
That's
Last
right.
time we were there, I did a little mini Weird Al location tour for UHF. Recommend it to anyone who's going to the Bob Dylan Center. It actually doesn't, it takes all about 10 minutes. Take 10 minutes and do your
I'm
Weird
gonna
Al
do that
UHF
next time, right?
location tour.
Oh,
There,
that's
well,
awesome.
there's one spot, the karate studio where
Mhm.
Suni throws a guy out of the window very
Mhm.
early on in the movie. That's like 2 blocks from the Bob Dylan Center.
You're kidding. Okay. Well, next time we're there in 2027, you'll have to take me
Yeah,
there.
next summer I'll show you. So I
Yeah.
talked to Steve Higgins about it,
Oh,
Tulsa
really?
Booster, one of the guys who runs it. He knows about it. Yeah, he was like, "Oh yeah, the UHF filming." I
That's
don't think
amazing.
Tulsa's maybe seen that many movie shoots. So
No.
even a famous flop, even a movie that did terribly. Anyway, I get easily sidetracked with Weird Al. So yeah, there's that it's sort of Bob Dylan in UHF tangentially. There's a music video for UHF the song, the theme song to the movie, and in the music video he does like the song is an original song. It has nothing to do with Bob Dylan or anyone else, but in the music video he parodies a bunch of like contemporary music videos.
Hmm.
So like there's a brief shot of him doing Billy Idol White Wedding where he's unwrapping the veil from around his face, and there's one of him I think in the bathtub does Prince, When Doves Cry, coming out of the bathtub. There is a clip that looks Bob Dylan-ish. It's a guy holding the signs, but he's not on the right side of the screen. It's not in black and white. He's like grunged out. I'm like, what is this? I looked it up. There was an In Excess video the year before that In
Oh.
Excess had parodied this Bob Dylan video. The whole video is them doing the signs, but
Oh.
again, looking sort of 80s hair metally grunge, other side of the screen. And so Weird Al is parodying that video, which is itself parodying Bob
Parody.
Dylan. So that one's sort of a degree removed. It's not
Wow.
like a true Bob Dylan video spoof like he would do, whatever, 15 years later.
Right, right. Wow, thank you. That's great. Because I wondered about that. Like what that's so interesting that In Excess was inspired by Subterranean Homesick Blues, and then this must have just been in Weird Al's head for, 30 years. Like, I don't know. Oh
Yeah,
no,
I mean, as you
yeah,
say, people call it the first music video. And it's certainly the first like iconic music video, right? It's not a music video like in the MTV was 20 years away, but like the fact that people are referencing it, Weird Al's referencing it in 2003, and most importantly, like everyone gets the reference.
right.
I feel like if you don't even know much about Bob Dylan's, like the image of him with the
Yeah,
signs, is just such an iconic cultural image that you can reference it. And it's like a fairly easy reference that people are just gonna get. Oh,
right.
Bob Dylan with the signs. And so that's like I say, other than the title, that's and the music, that's to the extent there's a parody of Bob Dylan in this, it's really the music video.
Yeah, I mean, I could even remember even before I was a Bob Dylan sicko, like I knew that image, and all I knew was the greatest hits and the dark sunglasses and the big hair, but I knew that iconic image of him holding the
Yeah.
signs. So,
Yeah, it's got to be in the top, I don't know, five or so things that an absolute person who knows next to nothing would go, oh yeah, Bob Dylan,
right,
there'd
right,
be a few, as you say, the sunglasses, the hair, the sort of
right.
Kate Blanchett thing.
Oh no, Don Ho, nurse, I spy gypsies run. Senile felines, now I see bees, I won. UFO tofu, we panic in a pew. Oozy rat in a sanitary zoo. God, a red nugget, a fat egg under a dog. Go hang a salami, I'm a lasagna hog, which you mentioned earlier. I'm just really like blown away by Weird Al's skill in putting these things together because it's not that they make sense, but they're words that kind of go together, like Uzi rat in a sanitary zoo. Like that,
Hmm.
it's just they thematically make sense in some twisted, demented way. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, and I love how, like on the line, in certain lines, he mostly does not do like a quote unquote Bob Dylan voice, but on certain lines he does. And so like the line before the one you just mentioned where he goes,
Yeah.
"We panic in a pew." Like he really leans into it and it's just like perfect. I mean his voice, Weird Al's voice is not that dissimilar from 60s Dylan, like he's
Right.
also somewhat nasal. So you're
Nasally.
already
Yeah.
within the wheelhouse and all he has to do is like turn it up a little bit, which he does on a couple lines, and it's just like, yeah, Bob Dylan, there could have been a song in Visions of Blonde on Blonde that goes, "We panic in a pew." Like that,
Yeah.
I'd buy it. I wouldn't blink an eye at that.
I could see, a Songs of Experience episode where I'm saying "Panic in a Pew." That's an iconic Bob Dylan line, like
Yeah.
he could have fooled me. It's really. What are some of your other favorite palindromes in this? Now that
Oh
we've
man.
covered the whole thing.
No, there's so many more. A short one, but I was like too hot to hoot. He kind of does a Dylan thing
Yeah, yeah.
on that one too. And do nine men interpret? Nine men, I nod.
That's
I
great.
mean,
Yeah, like he asks a question and responds to himself, kind of like Bob Dylan does now, in concert.
uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, I got to forget can't forget one of my favorites. May a moody baby doom a yam. That one that if Bob Dylan tried to work it into a song, you might raise an eyebrow. That one would be tough to pull off with a straight face. May a moody baby doom a yam.
Yeah. Yeah, he's sort of like invoking some sort of either curse or or blessing. I don't know. I really like a Toyota's a Toyota because it's so silly that that must have been like the most obvious one to him. Like he probably I could see him like, driving around seeing a Toyota of Hollywood sign and be like, Toyota, Toyota, that's a
Mhm.
Toyota. That's a palindrome.
Yep, a Toyota's a Toyota. Yeah, I remember like getting the, little CD lyric booklet. And like I'm sure I didn't go through every one, but I remember like fact checking a couple of these. Like some
Like
of them you're
reading
like,
them, putting them in the mirror.
yeah. Because like some of them you're like, wait, there's only like a Toyota's and a Toyota. You say, wait, there's only one S. That can't be right, a palindrome. But then you realize, no, if that
S
S
is
is
in
the
the
very
middle.
middle letter, then it works. And sure enough, they all check out as palindromes.
Incredible, incredible. Yeah, I mean, Ray, what else can we say about Weird Al, about the song? On my end, I feel like we've covered everything, but this is your chance to nerd out on Weird Al. So, what else do you want to say about him?
Well, I mean, maybe I should just pitch you on making this podcast a hard pivot and just Weird Al songs from here on out. I've got sort of a long running, very occasional thing where I feel like I now have some level of reputation in the Bob Dylan world, and I'm just using it to shove Weird Al down people's throat who don't
Do you
want
have you
it.
done this in other have you done that in other venues?
Not as many as I'd like. I did do a couple months ago. I did an idea I've had for ages that I never actually got around to doing, which is I did a April Fool's Day newsletter that was just writing about a
That's
Weird Al show
that was great. That
with
was great.
just as if this like with no wink, no nothing, just the same sort of incredibly nerdy deep dive I do on a Bob Dylan bootleg tape. I just did it on a Weird Al bootleg tape. And like I made the headline. I didn't try to trick people too far into it, but like the headline and stuff, the subject line people get their emails was like deliberately misleading.
Yeah,
Like I didn't
I
say
loved
Weird Al
that.
anywhere. So like you might make it a few sentences in, but you're like, wait, something doesn't add up. It's like I'm talking about like a tiny club show in 1984. And if you know anything about Bob Dylan in 1984, he's playing like the biggest stadiums in the world with Santana.
Right.
But I heard from a few people like, wait, how have I never heard of this crazy club show in Buffalo, New York? And then eventually, a few sentences in, you realize it's a Weird Al I'm writing about, not Bob Dylan.
That's great. That's great. What was the feedback? I mean, I remember loving that, but what was the feedback you got from that one?
I got some positive feedback, a small amount of negative feedback, and mostly people just ignored it. But that was okay because it was really for
It
me.
was for
That
you.
one, that one
Yeah.
was, yeah,
Yeah.
some of those are for other people. That one was for me.
Can you tell me a little bit about interviewing him for your book? Which book was this, and what was the context?
Yeah, this was the first book, Cover Me.
Hmm.
This is actually another good example of me shoehorning Weird Al in. Not to Bob Dylan, but the Cover Me was a book about the history of cover songs through
Right.
like 20 iconic covers.
You love
Um,
covers. That's a
or
thing.
Yes, or
Yeah.
really 19 iconic covers and Weird Al. So most of the covers were like the first one was Elvis doing Hound Dog, right? And the actually the last one was the Dylan one, Adele doing Make You Feel My Love, which at the time was fairly new.
And which at
So
the time
tracing.
everyone, and to this day, everyone thinks is an Adele song.
Oh yeah, well I mean we can go through my separate theory that in 500 years if there's one Bob Dylan song that's going to live on, it's going to be Make You Feel My Love. But that's a sidebar.
Oh wow. All
Like
right, we'll
that.
have to come you back have
I'm
you come
not I'm
back
not
for
saying
Make You
I'm
Feel My
cha
Love.
I'm not championing that. I'm just saying the way things are going, again, focusing on covers, that sort of seems like the trajectory.
Right.
But anyway, but so one chapter I wanted to do Weird Al, partly out of selfishness, but also partly I think it could be justified in the narrative. Again, we talked about how he does things other than just straight parodies, as you know, but some people may not. On every album, he does what's called a polka
The
medley,
polka medley, yes.
which is parodies I wouldn't consider covers, right? I say parodies are
Right.
the opposite. In a cover, you change the music, but you keep the words. Parody, reverse. You change the words, but you keep the music. The one sort of straight covers he does is these polka medleys, where he does keep the words. He doesn't change the words. The words aren't funny, but he takes a bunch of songs He sings the words straight over crazy zany like comedy polka music, right?
And it's kind of
That's like
it's usually solo on the
accordion.
on the
It's
accordion.
not solo, but it's accordion
No? Oh,
driven.
okay.
No,
Yeah.
he does a banjo and
Yeah.
it's just like classic polka lineup.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was like, all right, so this is
He does like
interesting.
Katy Perry and Miley Cyrus and like he
Yeah,
does yeah.
he'll
Yeah.
do like 12 in one. The most
Yeah.
recent one like starts with Shake It Off,
Yeah.
by someone you might have heard of. And then
Yeah.
yeah, there's Billie Eilish, there's
Yeah.
Lil Nas X, that sort of thing. Anyway, so I was like this partly I just wanted to interview him, but also partly I was like this, it sort of is an interesting thing because both you talk about medleys, which is a thing that happens in covers a lot and is just sort of complicated to work out how you pay people when you're covering 12 songs in one. And just the fact that it's like a guy who usually does the opposite of a cover doing a cover. So I interviewed him for that. We got like really nerdy about this thing no one ever asks him about because they always want to ask him about, Kurt Cobain and stuff. And I'm
Right.
talking about the polka medleys. We talked for like 2 hours about polka medleys. It was great. And so yes, then that concert I showed you the thing of was like it was a few months after the book came out. And so like I gave him a copy of the book and he signed one
What
for
did
me.
he say?
And
Was he
it
like,
was
"Oh, yeah, was
yeah,
he
he'd already, again, this sort of speaks to his meticulousness. He'd already read it, which I had not known.
What?
I think I'd sent him a copy. He's like, I read it, and like, I don't exactly remember how he phrased it, but what really struck him was like, he was like, that was really accurate. Like, you perfectly told the story, which struck me like that was what mattered to him. Like,
Yes.
precision, not being loosely paraphrased or getting it a little bit off, which I took as a huge compliment, of course,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
he's just like, you've nailed it dead on telling this story. And so,
Wow.
yes, that's what he said.
Incredible. So you've already met your hero, like you
Yeah,
know.
I got a great photo backstage too. It was,
Oh,
I
you
mean, yeah,
do?
because the interview, was just on the phone.
Mm,
He lives in LA. I'm at the East Coast, so I didn't
right.
even, we had a nice conversation, but I
Hmm.
hadn't met him then, so it was nice to actually meet in person
Wow.
and hand deliver the book.
That's amazing. Wow. Well,
I mean,
Ray,
he's
yeah.
very, unlike Bob Dylan, he's very plugged into what's going on. There's genuinely a non-zero chance he's going to listen to this episode.
Oh, come on, really?
Yeah,
Weird Al, if
non-zero.
you're out there, I love you. You're welcome on anytime to talk about Bob also.
I just do you always I usually listen to your episode. Sorry, this has nothing to do with anything, but I usually listen to your episodes rather than watch them. Do you always have the Oscar up there? I just noticed that. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
That's
it's
amazing.
I do have a little Oscar. I made speaking of parodies, 7 years ago, the school I work at was applying for this thing called the ISACS accreditation, and it's like a major accreditation that private schools have to apply for every 7 years, and it's like a pretty big deal. And so we had to submit. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but there's like a fun piece, and so they asked me to make a parody video. So I guess it was more than it was like 8 or 9 years ago. But what was big at the time? Hamilton. So I made
Hmm.
a parody of "Not Throwing Away My Shot." And I felt and I like recorded it myself and then filmed all the kids singing it and put it together in a video. And so at the end of the school year, and we got the accreditation, they gave me an Oscar. And so when I'm doing
Nice.
this podcast, it's my nod to Bob. I like
Yeah, you gotta have that Oscar thing.
having it up there. And then,
Have you heard Weird Al's Hamilton polka?
oh, of course, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta
So
play that. My kids are finally getting to Hamilton. I gotta play that for them.
oh
I
yeah,
have,
they'll love
yeah.
it. He's 10 or 12 Hamilton songs jammed into one of these polka medleys. I wish that one came out like the year after my book came out, and I was like, I would have loved to
Oh.
include that, but it was too late.
I love the Pokemon medleys. That's great. All right. Well, Ray, I do have an exit question for you, which I
Hmm.
think you might, I think you're gonna have be prepared for it. But what are you working on right now? What would you like to talk about? I mean, I would like to say a few things about pledging my time, if you don't mind. This
There's
is
not enough Weird Al content in that book.
there's not enough Weird Al content, but I will say, like, folks out there should really get, if you love books about Bob Dylan that are different than the standard book about Bob Dylan. Pledging My Time, Conversations with Bob Dylan Band Members by Ray Padgett is a fantastic read. In the last 5 years, I've read like my four favorite Bob Dylan books, and it's this one, Michael Glover Smith's recent one about After the Flood. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Bob Dylan as filmmaker, No Time to Think.
I've got to have to.
And
I got them
Thank
all
You
right
After the
here.
Flood,
My Bob
and
Dylan bookshelf back here.
yeah, and What Did You Hear? Of course, is
That's there somewhere too. I won't.
yeah,
But yeah,
and we've had him on the show. But anyway, Pledging My Time is great. I love it. And I brought it to the Larry Campbell show, hoping I would meet him so he could sign it. But alas, I did not. He did not come out after the show.
Too bad.
But anyway, what are you working on now? What would you like to plug? Talk about your Substack, all that stuff.
Yeah, sure. I'm working on a couple different Dylan related things. The ongoing one, if people don't know, is called Flagging Down the Double E's. It's like the main one. Bob Dylan newsletter goes out once a week-ish. I just finished a very extensive deep dive series on the 50th anniversary of Rolling Thunder 1976, the great but less beloved Rolling Thunder chapter, or at least, or maybe not less beloved, but given less attention. They released the live album and then sort of ignored it. All the Rolling Thunder stuff is always about 75.
Right.
76 is great. The vibes, everyone I've interviewed tells me, were just absolute dog, horrible vibes backstage, but the music is amazing. So it was fun. It was fun to dig into. I'll turn that into eventually later this year. I did a Rolling Thunder like little sort of chapbook zine thing
Oh, I
for
love
75.
mine. Yeah.
There will hint hint there will be a sequel
Yes.
by the end of the year for Rolling Thunder Part 2. If I just now that I've written them all, I just got to put them together. And then I'm working on I'm also working on basically a companion volume to Pledging My Time.
Oh,
I've been
great.
slowly working on that. I've been slowly working on that ever since the first one came out, but I'm starting to sort of pick up gear. I mean, I've already got through the newsletter like too many interviews. I'll have to lose a bunch of them, but I'm trying to get a bunch of new ones. I'm basically amassing like book exclusive ones. So it's not all just like reruns. So it'll be the first one, same thing. It was like 50% they'd run in the newsletter, the best of the newsletter, and then 50% ones that only live in the book. So I'm trying to sort of finish that this year finally, and then get that out next year. So there will be a companion to Pledging My Time.
Can't wait. That's great. Awesome. Yeah, highly recommend flagging down the double E's if you need like a semi-weekly, weekly, daily dose of Bob Dylan stuff that you didn't know, and has all kinds of like Easter eggs and goodies in there. Highly recommend it. That's I look forward to your Substack. Well, I don't know. Is it on a schedule? I feel like it just comes and I'm like, ooh, Ray's Substack today. I don't know if you have it on
Yeah,
natural. Like, ooh, there's
no, not
another Rolling
really.
Thunder show? Yes.
That's the thing. It's not on a schedule because I always do them on the anniversary of the show itself.
Right.
So like I originally I tried forcing it like every Sunday because like weekly is a good cadence, but then like 6 of the 7 days of the week one can't do if you want to do a show that was on June 13th, but that's not on a Sunday. It's like I
Right.
couldn't do it. And the series, like the Rolling Thunder thing, I mean, he does 5 shows a week. Then there's 5 newsletters
Right.
a week.
And
That's
then when he's on
too
tour,
much.
you're doing a lot of reviews of the current
Yeah,
tour.
I
Yeah.
have guest reviewers. And I wish I could, follow him around like some people do. I've got young kids, so I don't do that many, but I'll try to do one or two a tour
That's
and
the
then
dream, Ray.
fill in a few gaps. I know.
Yeah.
One
Great.
one day.
One day, one day. Yeah. Please, Bob, keep going. Great.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Ray. So if you could see Weird Al do a polka medley of 5 Bob Dylan songs, what would they be? And if Bob Dylan were to cover one Weird Al song, what would you want to see? And it could be a parody, it could be anything. I mean,
Okay.
you can
I know
answer
my
those in
first
any order.
I know my first answer.
Okay.
And I'm gonna cheat a little bit, but one of my favorite Weird Al polkas is actually not a medley. It is he polka'd the entirety of Bohemian Rhapsody, already
Yeah.
like an epically long song, right? So mine, I don't want him to polka 5 different Bob Dylan songs. I want him to polka Murder Most Foul.
Yes. Great.
Just a zany high-speed accordion with the stupid sound effects. I mean, I want a full, just absolute blasphemous, gonna make everybody mad. That's what I want to hear. Just an absolutely goofy Murder Most Foul. Oh, people would hate that.
Oh,
I
you're
hope he
such a
does it.
heel, Ray.
People would hate it. Oh, I'd be so excited. It's sacrilegious. That's wrong.
Amazing.
That's what I want to do. What Bob Dylan song should he cover? Oh, I mean, obviously, Wiggle Wiggle.
You
That
like
goes without saying.
Okay.
What's the silliest Bob Dylan song? I don't want to hear him to Standing in the Doorway or something.
But
I want him to-
what would you want to hear? What Weird Al song would you like Bob Dylan to cover?
Oh, was that the question?
That was
Okay.
the second part of the question.
All right. Well, I mean, the obvious one is Bob, right? I'm gonna try to think of something a little more interesting. What would like, I'm looking at
Think
my
about
massive
Bob Dylan
list.
think about like the city
Yeah,
specific
what
cover
era?
era. What?
Yeah, wait, sorry, what era of Bob Dylan are we talking about here?
Right now, you go to see a
Right.
Bob Dylan show, he's going to cover a Weird Al song. What do you want to see him
All right,
cover?
so it has to be something that 85-year-old Bob Dylan is gonna pull
Yeah.
off. All right, I got it. There's this original Weird Al song called Skipper Dan, a late period Weird Al song, and it is this unbelievably sad story of this guy who wanted to be an actor and be on Broadway and winning Tonys, but instead all his acting is like on one of those jungle cruise rides in like Orlando, I'm a tour guide on the jungle cruise ride. And so it's this unbelievably sad, slow song. And I could see like Bob Dylan doing a near solo piano, Rough and Rowdy Ways version of Skipper Dan, and it'd be amazing.
Just Anton Fig doing some fills in the background.
Doug adding a little like flamenco
Yeah.
guitar licks to this like slow, really weepy ballad. It'd be great.
Amazing.
About
Amazing.
a thwarted thespian.
I love that. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ray. You're welcome back anytime to actually do a Bob Dylan song or to do another Weird Al.
I'm gonna see how far I can push the limits of your format here.
There you go.
No, by the way, no one
Yeah,
is still listening at this point.
it's fine. Yeah.
Everyone has bailed.
They're
I can
gone.
tell you how everyone reacted when they saw this episode. They said, "Oh, Ray's on finally. That'll be cool. I wonder what song he's." God damn it! That's how every single one of your subscribers reacted when they saw it in the feed. Oh, Ray, what's? Ah, come on.
I should put something at the end to reward everyone. Okay. I'll put like the lost 1976 show where Bob played Lily Rosemary and Jack of
Yeah, you could
Hearts.
drop Lily Rosemary here
Yeah.
and see if a single person notices.
Right.
It would stay lost because no one wanted to hear me talk about Weird Al for this long. But I appreciate you indulging me.
Well, wait. I have one more question that for you about
Uh-huh.
Weird Al. Is is there a bootleg culture of Weird Al? Do people download his shows? Do people tape his shows and then download them? And is there like a Weird Al fan community? It's like because Weird Al is like for super nerds. So like I imagine early internet would have been like, is there an expecting rain for Weird Al kind of thing?
Yes to all of that, but it
Wow.
functions a little differently than Bob Dylan. Weird Al has super fans for sure. There are various forums, old school forums like Expecting Rain, and then as these things do, Facebook groups now.
Mm.
And there is a taping culture. However, the taping's a little different. There are full shows you can download, but most people, myself included, don't have a whole lot of interest in the full shows for the reason
Mm.
that he, like many people, endeavors to perform them as faithfully as humanly possible. He does not generally do rearrangements. What he does do, however, and this is why people are interested, is there are various concert-only songs. These are often songs that either he wrote and then did not get the permission of the original artist to do, or songs. There are a number of songs where, like, he said, basically it was like funny for one verse, but the concept would not hold up to like a full 4 minute song. So like he'll like put that verse in a medley or something. So yeah, so that's the thing that people chase is like what are the
Wow.
concert only songs? What are the songs that are not on Weird Al albums? If it's on a Weird Al album live, honestly, it's going to sound as close as you can possibly get it. So you don't
Right.
need to really be chasing bootlegs. But in terms of the concert only songs, those are the ones that you look for.
What's an example of a parody that he didn't get permission for that he did live in a concert?
Oh, there's a bunch. One is like he wanted to parody Live and Let Die by Paul McCartney, the
Yeah.
James Bond theme. And so he rewrote a whole parody. And this was like in the 80s when he was like really doing food stuff pretty much constantly. So he did this parody chicken pot pie. Him and Paul McCartney are friends, or at least friendly. So he asked Paul about it, and Paul said, "Yes, I love it. I'd be thrilled for you to parody the song. Very funny concept. One problem."
Yesterday started as scrambled eggs, so
Yeah, oh, there you go. That must have been before Vol was vegan, or at least
right.
vegetarian. That was Paul's issue. He said, "You know what? I'm vegan. I wouldn't eat chicken. Can you do tofu pot pie?" And we all was like, "No one who talks about tofu. Like that's not a
That's not
thing.
a thing.
That just seems insane." So he canned it, and it becomes a thing that is only in concert.
Are there any Bob Dylan? Did he ever do an actual Bob Dylan song as a parody in concert,
I
as
don't
far as you know?
I don't think so. I think
Uh-huh.
Bob is as close as he's
Okay.
gotten. One of the other ones this early tape I wrote about for this sort of joke April Fool's Substack. One of the nice things about the really early tapes is like a lot of these, in this case, just songs that maybe weren't good enough or like one joke songs. And because, Weird Al, we bring our kids to it, right? Very, very G-rated, very family friendly. Very early on, he was not so family friendly.
Really?
He just hadn't like landed on that yet, before he released any albums. So you get to hear the rarely heard, incredibly vulgar Weird Al parodies from when he's like 21 years old in his college. There's one that this is the entirety of the parody. This is it. The whole thing. It's like 10 seconds long, but it's the Jim Croce song, Time in a Bottle.
Mhm.
But the Weird Al version goes, if I could make love to a bottle, the one thing that I'd like to do is to search the whole world over to find one the exact same circumference as you. It's like, dear Lord, Al, what are you doing? It's filthy.
That's incredible. Oh my God. Wow. Does he allow taping like Fish or the Grateful Dead, or is it like a thing you got to sneak a recorder in kind of thing? Like I don't know. Is he
It's somewhere in between. It's
uh,
it's it's probably like Bob in the sense of it's not allowed in
not
quotes,
allowed, but he
but
doesn't care once it's happened.
no one makes I've never heard of anyone making any effort to stop it at a
Right.
Weird Al show.
Wow. Wow.
He even
Incredible.
released the first Vanity tour, that the one I show where he was, unlike usual, changing the set lists every single night. He released like soundboards of the entire tour. It was
Really?
amazing. And every night he did like a different actual cover song. Again, unfortunately I don't think he did Bob, but every night he did like a cover. And so there are like collections of all these of like 100 different covers that Weird Al and his band did.
Wow. And you could like he released them like for free, or you could
For
buy them?
it was it was as part of a a podcast app that like died immediately after these things were released, but luckily fans like
Fans
ripped them all.
screen
And
recorded.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was some promo for some,
Wow.
some tech company that immediately went bust. But yeah,
Wow.
I saw
Wow.
I saw him do a bunch of covers, but the two funniest ones were both at the Apollo. He did two shows at the Apollo in New York. And the first night he does this whole long speech about honoring the Apollo's history, the amazing history of Showtime at the Apollo and James Brown and this black music mecca. And so he's like, I couldn't think of a better song and more appropriate song to cover in this hallowed building than this. And then he covers the Carpenters, the whitest band in
Right.
human history. So he does that, and then the second night he gives this whole spiel, but how he does not know how to play the guitar, but it's near the end of the tour. He's been spending the entire tour learning learning guitar just so they can play this one song, this Neil Young song, and he's going to do the solo on this Neil Young song. And so he brings the guitar and this huge thing. But then the Neil Young song is, I think it's Cinnamon Girl, where the solo is just one note over and over again. And so
Oh,
Weird Al just
yeah.
plays the
Yeah.
he plays the solo. Maybe is it Cowgirl in the Sand or Cinnamon Girl? Anyway, it's the Trevor Neil Young song. The solo is only one note.
One note. It's a
So
very Bob Dylan-esque solo.
no, no, he usually gives you the two notes. You get two just back and forth over and over again endlessly, while his incredible guitarists flanking him
Stands
look
there.
on in horror.
Right.
Yeah,
Charlie takes a knee for a minute and whips his hair
yeah,
back, and that's it. Yeah.
yep.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ray.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much for listening and watching. Look for the next episode on the 15th day of the month in all of your podcast feeds. If you're subscribing to Apple Podcasts, please take a moment and give us a rating or review. It's the best way to spread the word about the show. For a video version of the podcast, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Songs of Bob Dylan. You can, of course, email us at songsofbobdylan@gmail.com. Thank you to my friend and mentor, Rob Kelly, for designing our fabulous logo, and to my mandolin teacher, Mark Mitchell, from the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago, for teaching me how to play the intro and the outro. If you'd like to help support the cost of hosting my podcasts, go to patreon.com/gonzo3249. For $5, I'll show my gratitude by giving you a shout out. So thank you to Rob Kelly, Joachim Meckel, Roberta Rakove, Matt Simonson, Christopher Vani. For $10, I'll send you a surprise piece of vintage Bob Dylan merch. So thank you to the girl from the North Country, Katie Sorovic. Speaking of merch, I have a store. Lots of fun stickers, shirts, hats, and other goodies for you. So check it out at henryjbernstein.com. Thank you to my Substack subscribers, Mark Godfrey, Linda Maltzbeed. You can check that out at henrybernstein.substack.com. Truly, I love you all. Thank you again, and see you next time.